Hi, everyone. Hope all is well. I know it's been a little while, and really happy to be back on track. Welcome. I want to actually say that it's been just an amazing beginning of the month of Adar, and soon we're actually entering this auspicious time that really starts in Adar and like works its way in the middle of Adar and then still like, with a full strength of the power of Adar into the end of the month. Unlike other holidays, usually the power starts when the holiday starts, and the power really starts the minute Adar starts. And Adar actually has the word Adir, which is the word for strength. And it's incredible what we learn from this whole story of Purim and Esther actually representing like the iconic, feminine, but strong personality to stand up when need to stand up to do what's right, but yet keep her modesty, her dignity, her royalty, her humbleness. And hopefully today we will actually look into Esther and what Esther means for us today, and tackling some of the challenges that we Balshuvas and people who are, converting or have converted, um, because like we were so used to, you know, being free and maybe super vivacious and super comfortable, being like the society around us. And then we learn that, in the Torah teaching that kvoda bas melech pnima, which is like the honor of a woman is someone who's inward, someone who's modest, someone who's humble, meek, but not in a negative way, using her wisdom as her power, as even the Alter Rebbe says in explaining the Ashes Chayil, that every week we're praising this woman of valor, that she so well manages her household. She has like scarlet wool, all embroidered, comforters all over her house, so that in case of snow and cold weather, that everyone's protected. And true, she is on the ball with all her different tasks as a mother, as a wife, as a counselor and a nurse to her children, and more. But the Alter Rebbe actually teaches us that this represents, the red scarlet represents wisdom, because red is like passion, heat, and warmth. And so because of her warmth and her wisdom, she's she's able to supply the warmth of her family, but not just the, because she's industrious and she does everything by hand, because her wisdom is splattered all over the house, as it were. And even if it's cold, and the eight Saharas and the evil inclinations and what's happening in the world is like so toxic, but because of her strength, her light, and her wisdom, her faith gives the whole family, even in dark moments or when in cold, as it were, moments, she's able to warm them up. She's able to like inspire them. She's able to, with her wisdom, supply them what they need in a modest and humble and beautiful, wise way. So, on the one hand, the Rebbe actually brings out the teaching that, we know that, the famous sentence that I just said before, that, the honor of a Bas HaMelech, a daughter of a king, is that, she's very inward, she's very modest. So, but if you look at prophecies, there are prophecies that say that a voice of a woman and a voice, meaning I'm sorry, the voice of a groom and the voice of a bride will be heard on the streets of Jerusalem. So the Rebbe actually questions this, like, wait, we're supposed to be modest. What is this prophecy that women's voices will be heard in the streets, not even in, like, of Jerusalem? Like, it seems contrary to what we're striving for, what we're aiming for. And the Rebbe actually brings out a point that um, that if you would really look at the sentence, you would think to save the grace and the beauty of the modesty of a woman, it should have said the voice of a chatan vekala, meaning the voice of a bride and groom will be heard. But it's not stated together like that. It's stated separately. The voice of a man and the voice, meaning of the groom, and the voice of the kala, the bride, will be heard in the streets of Jerusalem. So it seems kind of contradictory and very fascinating that the Rebbe actually points this out for us to learn a lesson that it's not that our modesty and our um, humbleness causes us to like shy away from being influencers. Um, that the voice of a woman is needed, and her voice is important, and she has what to say, and she has what to influence, and she has the higher level of wisdom. She has bina that allows her to keep her fire going, keep her inspiration, keep her passion, and actualize the knowledge that she has so that she can not only influence her loved ones and her family, but the world at large, because she, more than the other in her family, that's why she lights Shabbos candles actually, has the power to bring out the light in others. And she, more than anyone, can influence people to want to be closer to God, want to be closer to Torah and mitzvahs, because she has a way about herself that is more passionate and more warmly attracting with her way and her femininity. And so the Rebbe actually points out that when there's a fire burning, everyone goes out to be a firefighter. So the balance is like how to undo the habits that we had before, because we were so comfortable to be maybe a bit vociferous in different, scenarios in our life, maybe even the more extroverted person, and they're like loud, and then like just using their kind of domineering strong personality in ways that could be somewhat problematic when they're having relationships as one as a wife and as two as a mother, because of old ways and old habits, and then all of a sudden having to like re map ourselves out, like you know especially when it's for years and years on all matters when becoming a Baal Tshuva or becoming a convert. But in this way it's a little personal because it's something that we're used to, maybe because it was our almost identity, especially people who are extroverts and have had, the experiences growing up differently. So we have to balance what we know. It's not like we have to shut down completely and be like a nobody, that our voice is valued. And in fact, there's a teaching, and the wording I'll teach you is kind of shocking to some when they don't know the deeper context and how really the explanation is about this sentence. Because there's like, people that can say, oh, women have das ktsara. Oh, they're so light-minded. They're like weak-minded. They're like almost second-class citizen, God forbid. No. If you read it and understand in context, it means that ktsara is katsar is like short. So for women, it takes them a shorter period of time for them to be able to use their das, their special wisdom, to implement and actualize their wisdom. So we know that we do have special qualities that are different than men, and we have the ability to actualize our knowledge in a more expedient way. And even though in places in the Torah you might read, well, I think it's also in Pirkei Avot, like that, you shouldn't talk to a woman that's not your wife, Kal v'chomer. No, Kal v'chomer mean how much more so? Meaning it says that you shouldn't really talk too much to your wife. Kal v'chomer, that much more so you shouldn't talk to other women. So like someone would be reading that and they would find it very offensive maybe. But the deeper teaching is that your wife has a lot to do in the home to raise her children, to make sure the chinuch of their children, is taken care of by managing all the different aspects of their education. Women have what to do in the community because their voice needs to be heard. They need to influence the world in a way that the world will be a better place. And so don't talk too much with your wife because you're taking away from her being productive. If you're going to talk to her and you need to talk to her about the education of the children, if you need to talk to her about, things that she wants to talk about, that she needs your help, but don't chatter away and waste your wife's time because she's so important. She has what to do in her life. And don't steal away because of your personal needs, to just talk and talk and talk incessantly. And I actually, as a counselor, have met many women that have told me that the husband just can't stop talking, and it's like it's really disturbing. Um, you know, the time allotted and needed for her to go to sleep and like be able to wake up fresh and not talk to the wee hours of the night. I mean, usually women are the ones that talk more because we've been gifted 9 out of the 10 like speech capacity, but there are those, in Hebrew it's called yotzei dofen case, where there's those, that percentage of men that are very air element and they are incessantly talking. And so like a lot of things in the Torah, if you read it just without the explanation, you can be offended as a woman. Like, what do you mean? Telling my husband not to talk to me. But this has actually a very positive regard for women and their importance and their critical role in doing what they need to do to change the world for the better as influencers. So, yes, we're supposed to be modest. And yes, modesty is how you present yourself, even if you're doing all the laws, covering your elbows, covering your collarbone, and covering your knees, no matter if especially whatever movement. Yeah, that is modesty. And there's another level of modesty. and Rabbi Ginsburg brings it out in his book, The Mystery of Marriage, that um, that there's self-consciousness versus God consciousness. And modesty of thinking is trying to move away from too much self-absorption and too much like focus on self, even in the pursuit of wanting to be a better righteous convert or a better righteous person in whatever way, and that it's not healthy to too much think about yourself. That's not modest. That's like you're too focused on self, even in the holy, you know, reasoning of, yeah, I want to fix myself, I want to be better. And what tends to typically happen, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, can actually dress up like as if it's a Yetzer Tov, trying to make a person like feel bad and feel guilty and bitter and even sad, because they want to like progress and already attain the level that is not really expected of them, especially as a convert, and especially as a Baal Tshuva. And already in chapter 1 of Tanya, it says like people get depressed because they have such a high standard for themselves, higher than God, wants for them. I mean, because He knows, like He knows the process and the due diligence and the effort that's needed, and the trials and the errors and the ups and the downs that are just normal for us humans to be on earth. So modesty and thinking is a game changer. That you have full permission not to think about yourself. You have full permission to like move away from that and have more God consciousness. And this is like the whole story of Purim, because Rabbi Pinson, unbelievable writer, he has many, many books. Oh, I still have to get more of his books, but I have all 12 of his monthly books, and I have many others. Everyone is like, wow, so much amazing information. And he writes for the month of Adar and the whole story of Esther. Esther actually means hidden. Hadassah actually means ha das, coming from the root word of das, meaning the knowledge. Das is a type of thinking that can go one way in a good and holy way, or not in a good way. That's why Etz Pri Hadas, remember, which is in the Garden of Eden, it was the tree of good and evil. And the Etz Hadas, either, remember, when they ate it, they had such self-consciousness. All of a sudden they're aware that they're naked. All of a sudden they understand like there's evil in the world, and like it like brought them to a level of this duality of the other side. So there's a part of us that our thought processes are self-inflicting, like a instead of a virtue finder, constantly a fault finding, Yetzer Hara. And what we're trying to learn from Esther is to hide that level of das that leads us into that self-centered, self-focused, self-absorbed state of being. And then we have to hide that part. We have to like, almost, if you look at the word Amalek, and it has the same root word, gematria of safek, which is doubt. Maybe you already learned this. And that's like what we're trying to do this month. And that's why we're trying to accomplish during Purim. And we have to remember to blot this Amalek out. So there's this incessant Yetzer Hara, this evil inclination, this Amalek within, that constantly makes us doubt about our holiness, our worthiness, of our level of purity, and it tries to get us depressed because we're not at the level that we want to be. So this has to be blotted out. This has to be eradicated. This has to be hidden. That's why Esther, representing from the word Hester panim, like hiding, that level of das that's destructive. Are you with me? Are you getting this? Wow, nice to see all of you here.
Yes, I am listening.
Yes, it really it's such a game changer. And if I have to say one thing that makes a person feel um redeemed is constantly being able to have God consciousness. And like the self is like, it's not part of the equation anymore. And a person is constantly in that state of modesty, of not thinking about self, and constantly feeling grateful and blown away about God's greatness and his wisdom and the Torah and what you've learned, and how can you make a difference in the world? What could you, like, in a good and positive way? So, true, it's important to keep modest on the physical level, because keeping modest in a physical level actually helps us contain our holiness. Now, every mitzvah allows us to have like an umbilical cord connection with Hashem, and allows the streaming godly energy to flow to us. And for women especially, modesty is one very critical component in keeping the flow. Alter Rebbe actually explains that the 248 mitzvahs ta'aseh is connected to um, our our limbs of our body, and the 365 are related to our blood vessels. And he mentions that the 365 is more than the 248 because it shows its prominence and its importance. So the explanation is that when we do a positive mitzvah, it's a kind of a limited measure of holiness, because it's like, here's an apple, I'm saying a bracha on it. It's a positive mitzvah to say a bracha on food. And then like I used and elevated the measure amount of that apple's sparks of holiness. Whereas 365 lotan sem mitzvahs, um, it's it's like you're not doing something, so there's no measurement. It's like it's infinitely packed in that moment of so much spiritual energies. It's like infinite compared to, let's say, that positive mitzvah. So the Alter Rebbe actually explains that just like blood vessels, God in his genius made the the technical aspect of the blood to go exactly where it needs to go and not more. Because if more went in our hands, can you imagine? Our hands wouldn't be able to even move. It would be so full of blood, it wouldn't be a hand. And it's so perfectly aligned and amounts for our body to function properly. So, how does that happen? Well, physically, there's some mechanism. I'm not a scientist, but or a biologist or whatever, the expert that would know this answer. In the body's technical know-it-all knows that to restrain and refrain from the hand having too much blood, there's a stopper of some sort that it just knows. the flow just goes, it keeps going, and it's exactly what it needs. So too with the lo taseh mitzvot. So we're not supposed to expose our elbow. We're not supposed to expose our collarbone. We're not supposed to expose our knees. We're not supposed to have such tight fitting clothes that you could see every nick and cranny and curve. So when we refrain and when we restrain by not giving in to doing these things, then the perfect flow of the Kedusha, like infinitely, we get the blessings. Um, and so, too, when we actually cover our hair when we're a married woman. And this spiritual energy, and I know we talked a little bit about it in a previous class, but I was asked to go in more detail, maybe because you all asked for it, I'm not sure, but the aspect of modesty, mind, body, and soul is the ability for our neshama to process this holy energy. And you know, it's very interesting. The Rebbe even said in his Sicham that our modesty can save a life in Eretz Yisrael. That that it not only protects our own physical life. First of all, you know, famous sentence is "Tzedakah tatzil mimavet," that charity will save one from death. It's like so great of a mitzvah. Well, when we hold on to our most holy and precious mitzvah as women, and that's our modesty, we not only protect ourselves, but we can save a life in another country. And we have no idea that our safeguarding it. And let me explain the way I was taught. When we refrain and when we restrain, just like the blood vessels, that stop and make sure that the Kedusha is ours and not to the other forces. We might not, with our physical eyes, see that now that I covered my elbow and now that I covered my collarbone and all the mitzvahs of modesty, um, that that how much it protected us. Like, you know, we could have been in a car accident and we won't know it, right? God forbid. But the idea is that this safeguards and puts like a gate and like a lock, and like this kedusha now I it is restrained and refrained from the world accessing it in a negative way. And so when I made the effort to keep it, then it's not then indiscriminately like dispersed, like, you know, God forbid, indiscriminately dispersed blood vessels, so that the other side of holiness can access it and use it as a weapon against, and whether it's terrorism, whether it's war, whether it's diseases, and whatever like negativity that's out in the world, I did my part to keep it for me and to keep it for my people and to keep it for the world, so that I'm a partner in drawing good into the world. Because our good deeds, whatever it is, but especially for us women on modesty, we convert the gevurot in Shemaim, the gevurot are stern judgments. we have the power to flip over and transform the stern judgments into holiness, blessings, and chesed, more kindness into the world. Now, a lot of people are very confused when it comes to modesty in the bedroom. And I don't know if like this is something that might be perplexing and like confusing when you're entering the sanctity of holy intimacy. There's varying opinions and varying um, rabbis and kala teachers and that are teaching things in a way. I like to call it like the Hillel and Shammai difference. Hillel was very lenient and very yes, yes, yes. And Shammai was stricter. He had a more stern, Gavordic part of analyzing Torah. And in this day and age, we know we go with the Hillel. But still, there are some personalities, and Tanya talks about it clearly, that there are going to be rabbis that are still the Shammai type. And there's 70 facets, shivim panim, as they say. It's varying opinions and opposing opinions. But what I have studied, whether it's the Rambam, and I have a book that had many different rabbis' opinions, that, and then there's the Ramban. There's different opinions out there. Definitely going to the mikvah is, of course, you know, basic foundation of making sure that and as this woman teacher would quote the Rebbe, to do the mikvah bidiyuk, like really to work on doing it like with meticulousness, and all mitzvahs we try our best, and we grow in this and we grow on, but there comes a point, this is kashrut and this is the way you have to keep kosher any which way. If and you're going, this becomes not kosher. So there's the basics of the mikvah, and I actually wrote a mikvah book, by the way, and it has all the details and also meditations and also like the spiritual and the emotional aspect of getting ready for intimacy. But this is not the class for it right now. And if you want, we could do a class on mikvah down the road. But so we want to do the basics. That if we don't do it on this basic level, then it's not a kosher, and then it's a problem for the baby that's going to be hopefully born. And of course, we're going to grow and develop and become more aware and become more knowledgeable and study it, with responsibility. But when it comes to pleasing one another in the bedroom, um, that's a different category. That again, there's the Hillel type, and then there's the Shammai type, and then there's varying opinions, and it's not like it's halacha and it's usher things compared to the preparation and getting ready for the intimacy when going to the mikvah. Do you hear like there's a difference? So that God really made it that a man should respect his wife, and it's very clearly delineated, like that his responsibility is to please his wife in the bedroom, and God made it that Baruch Hashem, for the 2 weeks that she has like that kind of downtime, so that the relationship can be more than just the physical. to respect her and her needs and her intimacy needs of like having communication and getting together in and getting intimate in a non-physical way to develop that side of the relationship. Yes, separation does make the heart grow fonder. True, if you have pizza all day long, although I don't know, I love pizza, but I didn't do the all day long pizza thing. But like, you get bored of it and like, almost disdain it, not, not be able to even take another bite. True, those are all important, factors, but the Torah is on our side and helping us. So, and hopefully by learning this, you'll appreciate how much God appreciates your femininity and the right to experience relationship on many levels. And this facilitates it because a lot of people feel like they can't. It's hard. It's very difficult, and they then give in to immodest behavior during those periods of time when God knows how to cultivate a deep bonding relationship with the other by putting these parameters, and it shouldn't be seen as negative or um, degrading in any way. It's only to honor the honor of a woman and her femininity. So I wanted to spend some time, maybe discussion, because it's a sensitive topic, and see uh, like where you're holding with some of the information I shared with you, and love to hear what we can do to make anyone's struggles less and definitely more positive when we have an understanding of these amazing mitzvot that Hashem gave us for our benefit. Anybody? Okay.
Very
So
sensitive
we can,
issue.
what?
Very sensitive issue. Very sensitive topic.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I self-conscious to ask.
Uh-huh. But it doesn't have to be, it could be anything that we discuss from the beginning to the end.
Yeah. So I read in the Shulchan Aruch the intimacy in the
Mm-hmm.
bedroom, like it would be like in the middle of the night.
Uh-huh. Oh, meaning that it's best at midnight on Friday
Yeah.
night. That, yeah.
Yeah. How could that possible when you are sleeping?
Well, Friday night, many times, guests are leaving at 11:45, 12. It's very easy, especially in the summer days where Shabbat starts late. There is a teaching, it's not halacha, but it's a teaching that you can draw down uh, like higher souls during that most auspicious holy night at that hour.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. That's good.
So it doesn't mean every time you do it, it has to be, but during the time of your ovulation, of course, if it's Thursday night and you have those few days, then and then you can do it Friday night, and why not? But if it's, a week and a half and it's not, or a week late, whatever, and it's not ovulating time, so, and it's not about drawing down, the holy baby. I'm sure there's other benefits, not just the holy baby, but that's what I, you know, learned, and that's what was focused on with what I learned. Yeah.
Okay. I like the term holy baby. Thank you. Thank you for the answer.
Yeah, every baby is holy, but there's the ability, and Tanya talks about it clearly, that the way the couple are adherent to the mikvah laws and adherent to making sure their family purity is in order, then the garments of the soul of the baby can be like higher, and that higher garment of their soul makes it easier for them to be more righteous. And if, God forbid, the laws of intimacy regarding mikvah preparation and the kavana, you know, is in order, then then it makes it easier for the baby to be able to choose good over evil. And if it's not in order, then these garments that are lacking just make it harder for the child to like go on the path of righteousness. Now, the Alter Rebbe actually brings down that there's a question to that, because wait a minute, Sarah and I'm sorry, Yitzchak and Rivka did the most of everything possible on the highest level. They were like the holy tzaddikim of the generation, and yet they had an Esav. And Yitzchak actually had a the twins, like one was, so hello. And Abraham had a Ishmael, and Abraham actually came from a whole not a holy couple. Amram was a evil murderer, didn't care about killing his own son. So what how can we make sense of this? So the Alter Rebbe says the soul of a child is um God's like choice, and the garments of the soul is what we can affect the baby for good and make his life easier. But still, the Alter Rebbe says, but then what about these tzaddikim? So he explains that sometimes these forces that like when we feed these forces by doing the wrong things, and these forces can then decide to bring a holy child into a wicked family, because he wants this child to be wicked, because he'll not pass all the tests and he'll become wicked, even though it's a very, very holy soul. And sometimes these forces will then cause a more wicked child to land into from a holy couple. So yeah, I know this is a little off topic, but when you said that, I just had to say all souls are holy, but some of these children who are bereft of these garments of their soul because of the parents and their lack of modesty in or halacha or kavana, the holy intention, the mikvah laws. So then that could have an impact. So much so that there's a teaching that's why Reuven was really like all over the place, and kind of like not a scattered brain, but like a bit fragmented, and kind of a little bit all over the place. And the reason why was because when Leah was having intimacy with Yaakov thought he was having intimacy with Rachel. So there was like a confusion going on. It wasn't based on truth. So that like was handed down to this boy called Reuven, that developed in a state of confusion. And so that's why he was like, all over the place, and acted erratically to his father, and disrespected and had his issues because of what happened during time of intimacy. Interesting, right? I hope it was more than enlightening and and inspiring to do what we can on all levels to keep our modesty for the sake of our good, our future children's good, and the future children, that actually Rabbi Ginsburg teaches us that even if we're past menopause and we're not having children, or even when, let's say, that month we didn't have a child, um, the kindness, the chesed that comes into the world and impacts, like, us, our family, the man becomes more chesedic because of intimacy. Um, Goyim want to become Jewish because of the intimacy, even if a baby wasn't born, because things are happening and affecting the world at large. Um, like, it's just beyond, exciting knowing that that we have such an impact, even in the bedroom. And so we can have these holy kavanas that I'm drawing down chesed so that my husband will be less gavordik and a little more kind and a little more patient with my children. Even if you're past the bearing age years where it's gonna nothing to do with affecting, your soul of a baby that's gonna come. It's actually also fascinating that when Mashiach comes, like the every month when we didn't have a child, and we were intimate in this holy way, we created children that we're going to meet when Mashiach comes. I thought that was also very exciting and fascinating because, for me, I didn't have children for almost 8 years, and we tried, and I had so many hormonal shots and so many treatments, and it was so, like, good to read that, like, what good came into the world, even if, like, I didn't have that child that month. Anyway, hi, Alexandra. Nice to see you. And
Hi.
maybe you have something to share.
Thank you so much. This is my first women's class, so I really appreciated everything you said. It's really helpful to hear from someone to explain the concept of, how they say that men should be considerate when they're speaking to women. They're not, speaking to women frivolously or wasting their time. You should have something of substance to say. I think
Yeah.
when you frame it that way, in like women are important and you should respect them and recognize their importance in this world and how, valuable their time is a lot easier to
Yes.
digest than what you just read, at face value. So really love this class so far. It's been great.
Oh,
Um,
thank you so much.
I wanted to ask, you said that there's laws around modesty in the bedroom. Are you just referring to the NIDA laws, or is there
The
something,
Netherlands. The
are there
Netherlands.
other laws of things that you can't do in the bedroom during intimacy, or something we're
So
supposed to
again,
learn?
there's varying opinions, and like people choose the path that they want, and sometimes
Mm,
the husband and the wife have a little different path.
mm,
And sometimes a woman will go and learn with a teacher that's teaching it not necessarily based on 100%, like she'll teach it as all or nothing in this way, but and not really teach her college students, that it's not so black and white, like, let's say, chalav and basar, you know what I mean, where it's the milk and the meat and you can't mix, and this is the, exactly the law. And so innocent little, young ladies who are studying it from this one particular teacher are clueless that there's
yeah.
varying opinions. And then they're in the bedroom, they feel guilty. Their husband wants to do this and their husband wants to do that. And it's brings some, shalom bias issues. So when
Hmm.
we're aware of this, um, then we can be less rigid, less freaked out, less pressured, because like we feel like we might be losing our holy intimacy because of this and because of that. But you got to get well informed, and you have to choose your path.
Hmm.
And usually the path of the men are the Hillel types, you know. So and some women rather be the other type, but when it comes to shalom and peace, many times we have to do things that are not, like when you're diaper changing and it's a little uncomfortable and it's
Yeah.
not
Step out of your comfort
easy.
zone a little bit
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, sometimes. Yeah,
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Thank you.
yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this, so I had to go to my car to listen because I
Oh,
figured I would want
I
privacy.
wasn't prepared for this either.
Oh,
No,
okay.
and that last part of it, I'm like, you know what? But this is very important, especially for converts. Like they really need to know this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I would appreciate a whole class on mikvah. I was said that in the chat, but that would be really helpful. I was gonna go to one in Toronto in the city here, but it got canceled because of a snowstorm. So if you do any
oh,
mikvah
okay.
classes, that would
So,
be
yeah,
helpful.
let's see if this is something that is on their schedule of what they would want me to teach. But I definitely have a mikvah book. Go to yournewheights.org, and it's called Heavenly Waters, and it's really all there. It's
Okay.
halacha, it's hashkafa, it's on emotional and preparation for intimacy. It has meditations. It's really I've been getting a lot of wonderful reviews from mikveh teachers that they're using that as their source book and giving it to the newcomers, and that there's no book like it. So I have to say I've been getting Baruch Hashem. I was so
Oh,
happy.
yeah, that
Yeah.
would be amazing. I'll definitely add that to my audiobooks list.
Yournewheights.org. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So um any any questions or any I guess feedback? The book is called Heavenly Waters, but I'll put the if you scroll down on my here it is, yournewheights.org, your new org. That's my website, and you just scroll the adult books, and then you'll see like a blue book and you'll see Heavenly Waters. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad after a while that you all came back and that you're here. We can do like a meditation. That's what I usually do if there's for the last few minutes of this gathering. Oh, I'll write Heavenly Waters. Heaven. And by the way, if you do not go to the mikveh anymore, I mean, depending on what your age and where you're holding, oh, Pamela, I just want to mention that you could still go to the mikveh. I know everyone went to the mikveh to convert, but like you can go to the mikveh with the intention of like having a retroactive um effect on all the years that you didn't. And it's just an idea because like uh some people feel like, and there's many stories of the Rebbe saying how because they didn't go to the mikveh during intimacy of their children and now they're religious or now they're a convert, but that going to the mikveh with this intention can retroactively give the children the spiritual garments even as if you went many years ago because you went now. So it's good to know. Like if you have, there was one case where a child was leaving the path, and the Rebbe told the mother to go to the mikveh since she was born and conceived without this holy garment of the mikveh. And the mother was an atheist, and no, she wasn't going to go because the granddaughter had become religious and she couldn't get pregnant. That was another case. One was going off the there, and each case, whether when the mother didn't want to, so the Rebbe said go to the grandmother. So the grandmother did decide to go to the mikveh, and the woman was able to get pregnant. And another case where the child was going off the derech, and so again the Rebbe said because you were conceived he was conceived without you going to the mikvah, go to the mikvah now. She went to the mikvah now, and then he came back to the path. So it's unbelievable, like miracle stories. And many stories, also stated in my book, how uh, powerful the retroactive effect is on the child, and that did not get this holy intention and the halachic mikvah experience before the baby was born and conceived. Okay, so yes, there are people that go to the ocean. Yeah, but you have to just make sure you do all the things, and you have to make sure that someone's witnessing, like another female, or but ask your rabbi. Yeah, yeah, the all right. And so I just want to kind of just focus on this imagery, um, the imagery of being in an amazing place that you like to be, that's calming. And as you take deep breaths before we start this guided imagery, so that we can really focus and try to integrate and really deeply connect our mind, our soul, and our body to what we just learned, and really feeling blessed that Hashem made us a woman, and that we have these beautiful halachas made just for us, for our protection, to honor us, to respect us, and to help us develop more and more of these spiritual powers that we've been gifted with. And you could see yourself in this place, and it's so beautiful and it's so calming. And every breath you take, you feel more relaxed, and oxygen is really being pumped into your brain, helping it declutter and rejuvenate. And this quiet time of the body feeling relaxed helps the mind relax, and then helps the mind access deeper strengths to really incorporate and more easily actualize the level of thinking, behaving, and feeling modest. And you could think of ways right now that in this place to have an imagery of yourself with this strength of mind, to really be modest in thinking, and to escape the habit of being so self-conscious and so self-absorbed and so self-fixated, and to be able to roam freely in this beautiful place and just have God consciousness, and thinking great thoughts of awe and wonderment and appreciation and thankfulness, and just a constant, you know, happy energy from such positive thoughts, modest thoughts, holy thoughts. And then it's just so much easier for your body to be in line, so that it's easy for your body to follow suit, to think of the other, to think of everything that could be done to keep your modesty in whatever level that's good for you right now, mind, body, and soul. So take a moment and just please God, enjoy the experience of seeing yourself in this vision free, because every mitzvah helps your neshama escape the exile of the Yetzer Hara, trying to imprison and trying to trick and trying to sway and try to, you know, have its way. And you feel light, you feel grace, you feel beautiful, you feel like the benefits of the modesty, mind, body, and soul. And when you're ready, say a prayer. Thank you, Hashem, that I had this time for myself here to engage my higher powers of my soul, to experience a level of modesty in mind, body, and soul, and like to help this vision become more and more a reality and easier for me to adhere to and to enjoy and to experience as something so beautiful and so precious and so freeing. And when you're ready, you feel your body now light, heart calming beat, like with every beat. It's just really beating calmly. And you're smiling and your eyes begin to open because you really feel like grounded and really good, really beautiful in your modesty. I know this is being recorded and I'm trying to see where I can stop because I wanted to say one thing, but I'm going to post it on the link here to say something because we were talking about like things that are forbidden. So if you read that, yeah. By the way, you look so familiar, like what is your name? Alexandra. Wondering if
Oh,
I know you from somewhere.
I'm from Toronto. I can turn on the light, but where are
Oh,
you from?
Toronto. I was in Toronto. I have friends in Toronto, but I was only maybe like 2 or 3 times. But my son went to, well, no, actually Camp Montreal, actually. Toronto, I went to a wedding and different things. But anyway, what's your last name?
Milne. My
No.
my boyfriend is David Gordon. I don't know, his parents are in Toronto. Alan and Danny Gordon.
Hmm. Were you recently in Florida?
Yeah.
And I think I said to you, I think I know you. Do you remember? I think that was you.
Where
And
was
then
that?
you said, "Oh, I said you remind me of someone." And then no, my husband's Gordon. Was that you? Do you
Where
remember
was
that
that?
conversation?
I remember
And
from because yeah, my
it
boyfriend
was
lives
at
in Florida.
Yeah, in the concert of what that concert? I think it was at the concert, and Gedalia Fenster was speaking, and maybe it was at that concert.
I remember this happening, and I can't place where it was, and I was
It
like, "You
was,
tried to."
yeah. I either it was there or Chazak, because I was in four events, like big events. The Chazak dinner, I was at a Baba Sali, but I'm pretty sure. And then I was at the IDF event, and there was a fourth one. But so you remember that conversation? I'm not going crazy.
I remember someone coming up to me saying, "I recognize you," and I recognize you too, but I couldn't place it. I think maybe we were
And
just meant to meet here. I don't know.
right. But then you said but I'm married to a Gordon. I
Yeah, not
remember
married
that,
yet. God willing.
or maybe you said, okay, so then maybe, oh my gosh, that's so unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Or
Yeah.
you married Gordon. Okay, whatever. It's like, so, but when were you in Florida? I know this is being recorded. I wish I could, let me try to stop maybe it's finishing, I
Oh,
guess.
is it bad that it's recorded? I didn't even think about that. I've just been asking questions like I normally would.
No, I don't think they save it anywhere. I think maybe I don't know what they do with it. They're not posting it, I don't think, in any website or anything.
Oh, yeah.
But I will
He's in
find out how
Miami.
to stop it when the
Like
question is.
he's in Miami in Edgewater. I go
Yes,
there
I was
like
in Miami. Were you
yeah.
at did you go to Gedalia Fenster's concert with Nissim Black that wasn't, anyway, just so
No,
curious
I
if
go
you
to
went to.
Midtown Chabad there with like Rabbi Gopin. So I'm at that Chabad like all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, nice to
And
see everyone and
we'll figure it
see.
out one day.
Yeah. Anyway, wonderful to be here. Wonderful you all showed up, and looking forward to Monday. We'll see where the Monday of the last month, because it's right before Pesach. We'll have to actually look at my calendar. Um, let's see my walking calendar was here. Okay, I'll look later and see when the last Monday is and how close to Passover it is. And then either we'll do it like earlier or like, right after. We'll figure it out. Whatever they say, and I'll jump. Okay,
Thank you. Are
great.
you on the WhatsApp group in case we have specific questions
Yeah,
or
I am. I'm on the WhatsApp group. Yeah.
okay.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Sweet, sweet
Thank you,
evening.
Miriam. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. All right. Bye bye. So, did you guys read what I wrote? So, I hope everyone read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All
Yes.
Thank
right.
you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.